All right, welcome Three Birds fans to another episode of Three Birds and a Punt. I'm one of your co-hosts, Afia, and I'm joined as always by my friend John. Say hey, John.
Hey, hey, go bird.
Go Birds! We started this week 1-0. If your team ain't 1-0, can't relate. Whip is not here to join us tonight, but John and I will hold it down. The dynamic duo always get holding it down. The name of this show, episode 53, is called Overreaction Sunday because we have a lot to debate about the game, recapping the game, what we saw, what we liked, what we did not like. As always, we're happy to announce that we have partnered with AmazeMedia Labs to be the official Eagles podcast for the Pigskin Network. You can find the Three Birds on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Megaphone, or wherever you get your podcast. We are also on Twitter and on Instagram at Three Birds and a Punt, and we're streaming live on YouTube. So wherever you want to get us, you can get us. Okay, we appreciate all the fan support. Y'all been really holding us down, and we appreciate you. All right. Look, we also have our one of our great fans, and right on time. Hey, Ann. All right. I hope you enjoyed the game. I know I did, and I'm happy football's back. Let me just start there. Okay. Finally, real games. The craziest game slate week one, the wonkiest games. But we came out with a win, and I'm really excited about that. How are you feeling about week one, John, and what you saw from the Lions game?
Salutations, family. Thank you for joining. It was monumental, a monumental day. Not only 9/11, remembering those we lost, the opening of football, and I mean, aside from the Thursday night game, with the Bills smacking the Rams, it was good to have football Sunday back. The Eagles opened up, and not so hot the first two drives on offense and defense. Uh, well, first drive on offense, first drive on defense. But they ultimately settled in. Jalen Hurts is gonna be a problem if we can tweak the play calling, like tweak it a little bit. Shane Steichen got a little too cute with the screens in certain situations, but the run game is strong. My buddy Miles Sanders came through. Kenny G, Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott. Those guys did what they were above what they're expected to do. The line was a little scattershot, but I you got to credit the Lions defensive coordinator for dialing up blitzes, especially on like third and medium third and like 10, like dialing up blitzes like to frustrate Jalen Hurts. Early on, Jalen was getting off though. They were doing that. They were sending guys.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was come free. Jalen would shake it and then break off a long run. So I mean, he had 90 yards rushing
Yep.
on 15 carries and then one lone touchdown. Um, my buddy Miles Sanders almost cracked the 100-yard mark with 96 yards and
Yep.
a touchdown. Kenny G had a touchdown. Boston Scott got in the mix. It's going to be interesting to see how everything works itself out as the season progresses. Dallas Goddard had a great 27-yard catch um, that could have gone for more, but I think he needed more targets. I think him and Devontae
And
Smith.
then Devontae Smith. And wait a minute, but I just have to say, where would we be without AJ Brown?
That's true.
155 yards, the most a receiver has had in a game since Alshon Jeffries in 2018. I mean, I'm just saying he is definitely the answer to whatever makes Jalen nervous or uncertain. And that 50-yard, 55-yard catch, just a thing of
54.
beauty. Just a thing of beauty. I just think that we'll last year or one of our receivers would have dropped that ball.
Oh yeah, or
That ball would have been dropped,
Aguilar.
and that ball would have been dropped.
Unlike Aguilar, he
Right,
caught it,
right.
put it
He
away, and
he
almost scored. He almost scored on it.
maintained separation, slowed down, and muscled out for the ball. I mean, it's just the way in which he is a complete wide receiver. I think I saw all over Twitter people were saying, I don't think we've had as good as a wide receiver since T.O. And I'm inclined to agree. I mean, no disrespect to D. Jack, but you were a speed guy. We never
Yeah,
necessarily saw you as the guy that could burn and muscle out here and there. There's a lot of finesse. And he is just brute muscle strength and finesse. So it's an intoxicating combination. And I think the more, even when people know that Jalen's going to throw to Brown, I don't think it's going to matter. I
I
don't think it's going
agree.
to matter.
They
It
went
needs
they
that.
went like cover three on AJ too. Like on that one, I think it was like third and like seven. He ran like a 10-yard out, but the corner had so much. I guess the coverage was cover three, but he felt threatened by the vertical route. The AJ Brown just broke it off and was had so much room. He broke the route off and had like 15 yards of room. Jalen was a little late with the ball. I think if Jalen would have saw hit him at the breaking point, he would have had like a 40-yard catch easily, maybe even scored. But it'll come with time, you know what I mean? Like things like that. But AJ Brown is the real deal, as
Oh, yeah.
advertised,
The fact that
worth
we
the
got him
money.
for a first round and a first and a third,
Fleeced them,
robbery.
fleeced
Robbery.
them.
I don't even like robbery. We have him locked in for 4 years at the prime of his career.
Yep. And he's hungry. He's a
That
dog. He's really a dog.
he
And
got that
I
dog
think
in him.
in time, it'll carry into Devontae. Devontae's time will come because there's going to be
Yeah,
weeks where AJ Brown had to come out of the gate like that.
yeah.
I think next week
No,
against the Vikings, Devontae's going to get off. I don't even
I
know who the other corner for the Vikings is at home against the Vikings. Devontae Smith's going to have a signature game
yeah,
next
no, I
week.
think I
We
think
can
we
expect
failed
that.
to I think we failed to appreciate like the Lions were, and we'll talk about this later in the show, but the Lions were definitely taking their hits on Jalen. And I think for him to be able to go back to a comfort for him allowed him to stabilize himself. You know what I mean? Not to say that Devontae, like you say, is not going to get his, but it's just the ability to have Brown on the field and to know him as well as they know each other, I think helps settle a lot of nerves that were maybe came from how he wasn't necessarily as protected as he should have been on that field today. I definitely have a lot of opinions about the way the game was played, and we'll talk about that later because I can talk about the refs even though the coach can't. But I thought overall the game was very well. It was a game, and at the end of the day, I know it's the Lions, and I know that's the part of us as fans that are upset that they got 35 points. Like it's like what the hell is the Lions? At the same time, these are professional NFL players. They're building something over there at one Detroit way, whatever the fuck they call their facilities. And we have to imagine that, yeah, they're gonna come out and play. It's week one. So I think this expectation that we were just gonna steamroll over them doesn't make sense. Most games in the NFL are determined by one possession. You know what I mean?
Hmm?
And it just bear itself out. So I think and ultimately we were able to withstand their volley, especially because Jared Goff is terrible. And especially because we made a very firm commitment to the run, and we still stuck with a very firm commitment to the run. Because I think early on there were a lot of blitzes, there's a lot of pressure, and if you don't have a player like Jalen Hurts, a lot of other quarterbacks couldn't have gotten us out of those situations the way that he did. So it's very commendable to see how well he was able to comport himself under the amount of pressure that he was under today.
The thing that baffled me though, with like the third and whatever when we had the ball, that Shane Steichen wouldn't. I mean, they had the Lions defense ran the most light boxes in the
Mm.
NFL last year, meaning that they have two high safeties. On third down though, they blitzed like as the highest rate in the NFL. When you see there's 7 defenders lined up all over. Wouldn't you give, and it's third and long, you have trips to the right or left or right, I don't know. Wouldn't you have your max protection set to pick up that rusher there's an extra rusher that's coming untouched? Wouldn't you keep somebody in to max protect and block that person? Like that's the thing that baffles me. Like me, I'm watching the game. I'm like, yo, max protect. Look, there's an extra rusher coming in. And what happened when the play played out? The extra rusher affected Jalen to either have to run or get rid of the ball real quick.
Yeah.
If you just max protect that and have him change the play, you get the ball out quicker. Just a lot of things. A lot of things.
Yeah, I
Defense,
agree. It
the
was
offense.
sloppy in a sense, right? I think you can tell that it was week one, right?
Yeah.
Because there was a lot. Some of the handoffs were disjointed. Some of the keys, some of the places they were supposed to be at their place. I mean, let's be real. Credit where credit is due. We scored 4 touchdowns, but Jalen didn't throw any touchdowns. Like that's a credit to their passing defense. And at the end of the day, there's how many receivers ended up with stats? Just AJ Brown. I mean, there's a lot to work with there. There's a lot that still needs to be improved on. And I'm glad that it's week one and we still got the win. But I agree with you. Like it wasn't a pretty win, right?
I
38-35.
agree.
It's not a pretty win.
Zach Pascal had a key catch on third and 2
Yeah.
at one point, and that was
And
good.
then
I was
not
like, you know
only that,
what?
I love his. What the heck you doing when you saw that hit?
Oh yeah, he
That
was
Zerniak
right
hit.
in Tracy Porter's face. He was like,
Man,
man, Tracy Porter,
that
you about to
man,
get
and they
taken
ejected him
out.
as they should have, and it's insane that they allow that situation to happen because we'll talk about it. But anyway, let's talk about this defense. Okay, I'm mind boggled. Yes, okay, I did say in the beginning previous segment that the Lions are a professional football team. We should have been prepared for them to play. However, I'm mad at how. It's not that they got 35 points. It's how they got 35 points that pissed me off. It just looked like Gannon once again did not know how to utilize the players that he has. You have all of these good players, and where was Jordan Davis?
Yeah, they had more
Why do you
Lapu
have?
and Milton Williams. They had
Yes,
Milton
why do you
Williams and
have?
Lapu.
Why do you have Hassan Riddick and Sweat chasing wide receivers? There's just
Yeah,
there the fact that Jared Goff wasn't pressured all afternoon is mind-boggling to me. You know how Jared is against pressure, and you seem to just let him really have time in the pocket. There was no pressure. There was no pressure. So I'm very concerned about the defense because I don't know how sustainable it is to ask the offense to put up 30 plus points. You 20 once we hit 21, we should have really figured that this game was pretty much ours, and we had to sweat the last quarter because our defense allowed 14 unanswered points.
they went nickel a lot. I think that was the most I've seen our defense go nickel for a game. They went nickel a lot with just Kaiser White and T.J. Edwards in the middle, and then they have Hassan Reddick line up at defensive end. And then there were situations where Hassan Reddick lined up at inside linebacker and blitz, but those 2 times that Hassan Reddick lined up at inside linebacker where he blitzed, they converted first down. The
Mm-hmm.
one was the Jared Goff run.
Yeah, and they were crazy
It
too
has
because
to something has to give. I don't know.
something happened in the middle of the field was
Gannon's
open. They were
Gannon's on
getting
the hot seat.
gashed. I was seeing a lot of traps, a lot of pools, and we just didn't seem prepared for it. We just gave them too much space. The fact that DeAndre Swift what had 135 rushing yards or something like that. That's unbelievable.
Shout out to him. Shout out to him. North
Yeah,
Philly.
shout out to him. He
Great
did great.
dude.
Like individually as a player,
Great
that's
dude.
amazing. But as a team, like we pride ourselves on the fact that we don't allow 100-yard rushers and on the first game of the season, he eclipsed that. It boggles the mind. And
He's
the
good though.
fact that, yeah,
He's good
and
back.
if Jared Goff had been even just a tiny bit more accurate, this is a different game. This is a
That's
different
true.
game.
And
Let's be
you know
honest.
what game it reminded me of? When we played Atlanta after the Super Bowl, when they dinked. No, was it Matt Ryan? No, Derek Carr. When we played the Raiders, dink and dunk and dink and dunk. It reminded me of that game.
Yeah.
Like he just like it'd be like, oh, 3rd and 12, and they get to 15 yards for first down. They missed so many tackles on open field. I'm so disappointed
Oh
in
my
Avante
gosh, the
Maddox.
tackling.
I'm so disappointed in Avante Maddox. I'm disappointed in T.J. Edwards. I'm disappointed in the
Big
C.J. Johnson
play.
Gardner.
He
Yo, they were
dropped the
missing
first
tackles.
interception.
They
He
missing
let a
tackles.
touchdown on him. It was a contested touchdown, but still, I think overall you could tell the impact of not playing in the preseason. It seems to me because the poor tackling, there was no pressure. There was they were able to run the ball on us. Like as a defense, what are you trying to pride yourself on? I think I think it's very clear that a defense needs an identity, right? Like I think we know what the offense's identity is. We're gonna run the ball and then gash you with our receivers, right? When you run the ball to set up the play action. I didn't see a lot of play action, but I think it's coming, right?
It's coming. It's definitely coming with
What's
Shane.
our identity on defense? Are we a ball hawk? We make plays? Are we? You can't run on us because we're stout up the middle? Are we a sacking defense? Like what are we? I just think that you couldn't tell what the defense wanted to be, and why are you still experimenting the first game of the season?
You know what it is? When we built a double-digit lead, they were just having the corners in zone like cover 3. Cover 3 gives up everything underneath, and they were dinking and dunking the crap out of us. That's when T.J. Hawkinson had that nice catch for to extend the first down, extend the drive. Like they had some good drives where they run, dump it off, run, dump it off. Like it was like, and we were nickel personnel almost for the entirety of the game. I think there was a few moments where we didn't go nickel. Um, that's gonna have to change against a team that's gonna run. Their identity is to run the ball. They have Jamal Williams and Swift. They should have known, minus the people that were out for their offensive line. They're going to run the ball. Their identity is to run. As a defensive coordinator, you should say, you know what? We're going to stop the run, force Goff to pass it on. But then that could be a double-edged sword. You got Bradbury, you have C.J. Gardner Johnson, who are new. Maybe you don't want to expose those guys. They should have played more man, honestly. I think
I don't
that's
know.
the
I just
mistake.
yeah,
Especially with
but
the
I
double
think
digit lead, I would have played more man. I would let them play cover 4. Let them play man. If they cross, they cross. But whatever.
I
Like
think it's not in Gannon's philosophy to play lots of man. I think he prefers this sort of, like you say, dink and dunk, keep everything underneath, keep everything in front of you, type of game plan. And it's to me, it's ultimately a little, I'm not going to use the word soft, but it's a little bit more reactive instead of proactive. You know what I mean? You're making the assumption, from my perspective, that they're already going to gain some yards. You just don't want them to gain enough yards. But that's a fallacy, because if they're gaining some yards, they're pretty much going to gain enough yards. At the end of the day, they'll just chip away at it little by little by little. And so I just think that when you create this impression, like you say, of just having all these soft zones and everything's in front of you and a lot of nickel, you're not creating a lot of stoutness up front. And that is impacting the ability for like, I don't know. I just don't know what this Philly defense is not it to me. Just not it. I'm not. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. I'm very nervous about it. I can see, this is becoming more and more and more of a passing league, and I don't know if we're equipped.
I think passing wise, I mean, they look pretty good. It's just the run. The run. They gotta
Mm.
stop. Yeah, we got gas. The gas on the ground. and I think things will balance out because the Lions are going to end up being one of the better running teams in the league. I
Yeah.
think after this Vikings game, I think that the defense will settle in. We'll see more teams that are more dependent on the pass, that pass more than run, and I hope it will settle in. And they'll understand the personnel, what went wrong in week one, where to adjust, create some more packages. Derek Barnett went down too. Maybe that threw, and Fletcher Cox went down as well. They both went down at some points in the game. Maybe that threw off what they were trying to do. Because I think Josh Sweat almost got home a few times. It I mean, you got to credit the defensive lines, offensive line, for they kept Jared Goff clean. They were injury prone, injury riddled heading into this game. We thought that Jordan Davis was going to have 3 tackles for loss and a sack.
I don't even know if Jordan Davis played. Then
He had
that's
a tackle. He had his first NFL tackle.
yeah, the
He
tackle.
did.
Okay, so I mean
He tackled for
that's
loss.
pretty good, and I appreciate it. But I think you know what? I understand you want to get this guy Marlon some snaps, but play the big man. At the end of the day, that's a big body. That's a big guy they're trying to go through, at least on the goal line, at least in these short yardage situations. I mean, use your big body. Make these men grind these yards out on you. I just saw so many open lanes and just so many I don't know, just a lot of things that didn't seem like it was a recipe for success, and by the fact that we had 35 points put on us, it wasn't a recipe for success. They went in, they made their second half adjustments, and I don't know if we did.
I agree. Yeah, they came out because right at the end of the half, if Kenny G would have held on to that pass, I think it would that would have put the game out of reach. If we scored there, that would have put the game out of reach. That would have put the nail in the coffin. They would have came out in the second half and just be killing the clock. But the
It was a
Lions,
bit of a low
they
ball,
came
but
back with a vengeance. They were like, "Oh yeah, oh, punt."
yeah. No, they took that holding us to a field goal into the half as a motivator, you know. And I think they played hard for Dan Campbell, which is very commendable. And I do wish the Lions a lot of success. I think that it was a really hard fought game. Like you we had an expectation, I think, coming out like this game's pretty much over, and they're like, no, like we have something to say about it, and that's very respectable. I just think the Eagles letting them back in is too reminiscent of how things were last season as well. And against better teams, we're not going to be able to walk away like, whew, we thank goodness we dodged that bullet. We're going to walk away with a loss.
Mhm. I agree.
So we gotta improve. We gotta improve. All right, it's time to get into our ad break. Football fans, the first Sunday of the NFL season is here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sporting smart partner of the NFL, is giving new customers a can't miss offer to celebrate the return of the NFL season. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. And as an added bonus for week one, everyone can experience the drill of DraftKings early win promotion. It's simple. Bet on any NFL team to win. If your team leads by 10 at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. Hey, the Eagles, you should have got on that deal. Now, download the DraftKings Sportsbook now. Use promo code scrolling down your screen TPPN to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet this Sunday. That's code TPPN. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Wow, that's a great deal, y'all. Tap in.
Tap
All
in.
right. We're getting to, I think for me, I've I've commented on it throughout the show, and to me, it's like the most annoying part of the whole game was the abysmal refereeing when it came to Jalen. I felt like the Lions came in with this mentality that if he's gonna run, we're gonna give him a little extra sauce for running. And I don't know how many times Jalen slid and got hit after he gave himself up. And those
Mhm.
penalties were not called, and they should
I
have.
agree.
The refs this game were I was not a fan. I was not a fan. I did not think that they called the game fairly. I will say this: the Eagles had a lot of penalties, and that was freaking terrible, terrible. Okay, um, but you need to call the unnecessary roughness penalties.
I
As an
agree.
NFL referee, your job is to maintain the safety of the sport, and you're allowing Jalen to just be pummeled out there.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. What was your take on it, John?
Yeah, there were two instances before the one that Tracy Porter had. I was like, that's a personal foul. They didn't call it. Yeah, I caught myself doing that a few times too, and I thought I was the only one. I was like, yo, that should be a flag there. Okay, no flag. Okay, Jalen got up. He's gonna wipe it off. Whatever. I'm like, he's gonna come out and light the world on fire. And luckily, we came home with the win. But the officiating was porous at best, like you mentioned. It was, and there were some holding calls too, like on that screenplay where 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 Jonah Jackson, my distant cousin, got out on the screen and he blocked Avante Maddox in the back. That was a clip. I was like, "There's a clip." He got black. Avante Maddox had his back turned, like about to fall, but Jonah is like pushing him in the back, and then Swift is like running by him. I'm like, how is that not a block in the back, dude? But I digress. Fish Hating was bad. They need to go back to school. I don't know what kind of training they need, but it was bad. And I don't know. You got to credit the Lions for getting it going, but it was bad.
It
It
was
was definitely up
bad.
there.
It was bad, and I think to me it doesn't trend well for the rest of the season. Jalen cannot sustain these types of hits over a 17-game season. It's just not sustainable.
Hmm.
At the bare minimum, we're unfortunately looking at it, a particular type of head concern because they're leading with their helmets. They're attacking his neck and head area. These are sensitive spots, and he's doing what he needs to like. This is not a barb or tirade at Jalen. He's doing what he needs to do. He's giving himself up. He's running along the sideline. He's picking and choosing his spots. He's not having this mentality like our last QB where if he's out there running, he's not really trying to also protect his body. Right? He's being smart about it. Even if I do think there were times where maybe instead of instinctively going to run, stay in the pocket, use the pocket to your advantage, and actually use your receivers. But I get it. For the first game of the season, he's going to revert back to what he knows, and he's excellent at running the ball. I'm not going to shade him on that. I
His
just think
escapability is a strength. It's scary because if we had any other quarterback, I think they would have got sacked like 4 or
right.
5 times,
Oh, 100,
especially on third down.
100%.
The defense offensive coordinator wouldn't even like give like it baffles my mind. Like the play calling on third down when we had the ball was baffling. Calling a screenplay, he called a screenplay 2 separate times. I mean, you call a screenplay short of the sticks to bring up third, or you call a screenplay on third. What the heck? Throw the ball down the field. You see, they got 7. Get the ball out of Jalen's hands.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
you adjust on the field. Like there was no. They gotta open up and adapt what they're
Hmm.
doing, or they're gonna be dead in the water. Like I don't understand it.
I agree.
But the
I agree.
fact that Jalen did well on third down, though, mainly because of his legs. Um, it's a
Yeah, I think
commitment to him.
it's a delicate balancing act, right? To have some of them were design runs, some of them were Jalen taking off instinctively when he just didn't see anything there, didn't see any guys open, felt too much pressure, so on and so forth. It's, to me, a dereliction on the part of the refs, a dereliction of duty for them to not be recognizing that when he slides, he's giving himself up and they're still tackling him. You don't have to wait for something egregious like what Walker did to go out there and actually protect these quarterbacks. I bet you Joe Burrow, and I saw Joe Burrow running and sliding, and no, like there are certain players that you don't see these athletes do this to, and there are certain players that you do see these athletes do this to, and I'm pissed off. I'm tired of it. Because you're ruining our ability to enjoy the sport as purely as possible. When I'm not saying they're targeting these guys, but they're giving them a little extra oomph in how they are hitting them, and that I think is unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. It definitely is. And Tracy Porter is going to be expecting a hefty fine on Monday.
As he should. As he should. That's just no. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Okay, and I can't even say to Jalen like do this or do that because he's doing what we asked of him. He gets
Yep.
what he needs and he puts himself up. He's not trying to gain more. He's not doing too much. He's not going outside of the too much of the structure of what the offense asked for him. I just need the refs to be better.
That's true.
Need the refs.
Refs and the play calling.
Yeah, right. Maximize his potential. Don't open him up to risk. All right, so let's get into I think would be a very good preview for next week's game. We're on Monday Night Football. Thank God, because I'm out of market and it's suffering like you've never known to try to get this game and see this game. But I don't have to worry about it because we're Monday Night Football. We're the only attraction on TV. Thank God football's back. Let's just talk about that. Thank God football's back. What are your expectations for Monday Night Football? How do you see the game going against the Minnesota Vikings?
I think beat them up with the run again. Honestly, they don't have the front seven to match us. I mean, aside from Daniil Hunter, I just run the ball on them. Run, the run is set to create the pass. They got to be better instinctively on defense. It starts with Gannon calling a better defense to stop the run because Kirk Cousins is gonna think and dunk it, and you got Justin Jefferson and Aguilar coming back. Oh, I mean not Aguilar. Rager.
Yeah.
Jalen Rager coming back in his revenge game, but he's not gonna play anything.
No.
But
maybe
at prime time,
teams, but I think we should be prepared for that. I think special teams are actually the only unit that I really couldn't. Well, no, actually, the punter, he got to go. The punter's got to go.
Sipas, you don't like Sipas?
No. Did you see that ridiculous punt that landed at the 40-yard line?
Yeah. And they offered no competition for him in camp.
Right. That's what I was saying, John, that they didn't give him any competition in camp. What? But I agree with you. I think our identity on the offensive side is running the ball. We need to maximize that. We have the best O-line in the NFL, bar none, without the penalties. I need Nick to get on these guys about these penalties. Too many holding calls, too many false starts, too many delays of game.
The two delayed games stand out.
Even the most, and I understand, I get it. The
it was loud in there.
Really, really loud. But that's why you practice your silent count. That's why you get your silent count down. That's why I have 5. We go on 5. We go on 6. Whatever your thing is. It was the delays of game. And it's crazy the refs left some of those delays of games on the field. Because there were a couple of times where it was a clear delay of game, and yet they didn't call it. They still let them play, and I was like, oh, okay, we dodged that bullet. But I'm really upset with the penalties. I don't think that they will. Too many times we were playing beneath the sticks. If we get positive yards and then the penalty, we just erase that. And we need the defense to be way more stout. Justin Jefferson is going to come in, and okay, listen, I think we can all pretty much understand. Justin Jefferson's going to get his. But if you can limit him to no touchdowns, whatever, he can have the yards.
Dalvin Cook can have his little touchdown, but
right.
we gotta get out to a fast start.
And we need Jordan Davis in the middle. They got Dalvin Cook over there. Like if we start to get a reputation that you can run, that's not a reputation that the Eagles traditionally have. You can't run on the Eagles. You can't. So if this is the season where teams can run on us, I'm not having it.
That's true.
Not something.
And that was part of the reason why we changed coordinators too, wasn't it?
I want to say so, or they just felt like, well, I guess Jim left us versus we said it. But I do think that the Wild Nine and that whole scheme and the way that he generated pressure and didn't care about linebackers, like that was all getting a little tired. But I also don't feel like Jonathan Gannon, like as much hype as Jonathan Gannon gets, I'm still waiting to see it reflected in his schemes, his play calling, and the way that he positions his players. Like ultimately, I feel like your value as a coach goes into how you can maximize your players' talents so that they can reach their potential. I think offensively you can tell, okay, look, Jalen's talent is in his ability to run. He's a good passer. He still needs to work on being consistent. It's still, I think, the theme for him this season, and he will tell you himself the theme for him this season is consistency. But he's a great dynamic runner, and our offense is predicated off of that, right? That threat to run gives our offense that extra dynamicism. What do you see on the defensive side of the ball that would give you that same type of clarity?
Going more odd front with another linebacker. We were nickel so much this game. I think they have to shut down the run. Then you force them to pass the
ball. I agree.
You have Slay, you have Maddox, and you have Bradbury, who had a great game. Bradbury had a great game. I think he had one or two missed tackles, but aside from that, great debut. Kazir White, Hassan Reddick, those guys played well. TJ Edwards was up and he's a leader of that defense. Played well in some spots, but they missed a lot of tackles. Epps came through. CJ Gardner Johnson, he missed CD Deuce, he missed some tackles too.
Yeah,
and he got hit with that pass interference, which is touchy. That was a tough one with his arm hooking TJ Hawkinson. That was tough. But overall, I think they just gotta settle into what they do best. Play more man. Up the front seven has to get home. They I don't know. I don't know. The personnel was weird. They had Fletcher Cox at defensive end when Barnett went out. Honestly, I would have put Jordan Davis in the middle, and I would have had a opposite at NASCAR practice. I would have had Hargrave and Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, and maybe Hassan Reddick, or Sweat, or Brandon BG. I had a fifth lineman. Tee off on the quarterback because Jared Goff is scattershot. That's the thing that kills me. The fact that they didn't tie up more time blitzes to get home, was baffling. And the Lions did that, as it showed. He had Jalen flustered a lot. And
Absolutely.
I think they got to really go back to the drawing board and work on those packages and work.
Yeah.
They got to hit in practice too, even though it's a short week.
Yeah, they got to do something. I just was not impressed. And I don't know, you're not going to go to Minnesota and get Minnesota actually does have a bona fide number one wide receiver. They do have a bona fide number one running back. I can't stand playing Kirk Cousins because he's not good. But when he plays us, somehow he's always better than he ought to be. So I do think
Joe
we have to
Montana.
remind it right. I think we have to be reminding ourselves that we have to imagine that the Vikings are going to score at least 21 points. So if they're scoring 21, we've got to at least score 24 to 30. So to me, the offense has to, I think, again, do a lot more than the defense. I don't think the defense is going to be ready because Jonathan again has got a lot of work to do to figure himself out and stop what he's doing. He's being ridiculous. He needs to talk to himself in the mirror.
You
Um,
know what? I'm sorry. You know
no,
what comparison just came to me, and it's vastly similar. Vastly similar. You're gonna laugh at this. The 2014 with T.O.'s opening was the same thing against the Ravens. It was the same thing. Like the offense did so well, and the defense missed so many tackles. The defense was trying to find their identity. The same thing. Except, I mean, the margin of victory was wider in T.O.'s first game. The defense was the biggest thing. It's very crazy that it's similar, but
I mean,
we had
I'm
to do what we do best and run the ball, and then play the
yes.
run better.
Yes, and I think and shout out to Connor for joining us. Appreciate you. Another great fan of the show. I think really generally our best bet right now as a team and as an offense is to control the time of possession, grind out some great runs with some efficient passes, utilize the quick passing game, utilize a catch and run type situation that gets the ball out of Jada's hands quick so he doesn't find himself in the position to be running for his life and maybe get hit in a way that's not, not conducive to his safety. And I think we'll be okay while the defense figures itself out. There's a lot to be said for allowing the season to go. The title of the show is Overreaction Sunday, so we're giving you our overreactions. It's a long season, but I do want to see some improvement week to week. All right.
So
Our
me too.
last,
Dying
yeah,
for it.
hmm dying for it. Okay, we need a championship to win it. Our last segment of the day is who is your player of the game? One player that you felt really impacted the team in a unique way, and really without their contributions, we wouldn't be here 1-0.
Can I go for the signature game for this gentleman?
Yes.
AJ Brown. Like
Yes.
we expected a monster game. Like some of the beat writers were like, oh, expect a TO level epic 200-yard 3 touchdown game. It was close. It was very close. The yardage was there. The explosive plays were there. Consistencies were there. The threat of him running deep was there. Like he's such an addition. I can't believe we have him. God is good. Um,
All the
he's the
time.
player. He's my player of the game. He's the person I expected to beat the crap out of them. I like Jeff Okuda, TCU. I like him, but I was like, Jeff Okuda's will be running on skates all day trying to cover this dude. Leave them on the island and watch AJ Brown make a play in a 50-yard catch, 54-yard catch was the. I was like, there it
That boy
is.
good.
And
That
he's
boy
good, and he's
good.
under 25. He's not even
Whew.
25.
Whew. He's only gonna get better. And he has like you say, a desire, burning, a chip on his shoulder. He's mad Tennessee didn't give him that money. He's mad, and I love it. I love whatever players use to motivate themselves and give them that extra edge to go out and really just dominate. And AJ Brown, I think, is the best wide receiver we've had in quite some time. No shade to Devontae Smith, but he's just young in his career. AJ Brown is in the prime. He's peaked. He's amazing. I think we don't win that game without him. We don't. We don't. And so it's a blessing to have him. I've got a very underrated player, and I'm actually happy Whip is not here with us tonight because he would not like my pick. Maybe you can guess what my pick is. My pick of my player of the game has got to be Booby. Okay, Miles Sanders and his specifically just for that one play, like you wearing a shirt tonight. That one play where he basically iced the game away, where we were at a 3rd and 1, and initially it seemed like he was going to be stopped, but he kept his feet moving and found that crease, and he just took off. It reminded me of remember the snowball game when the snow came to Philly and we played in the Lions, and we just we were not going to win that game, okay? And then something just switched to something had, and LaShawn McCoy went off, right? And just the running, and that's what that run reminded me of. And I know there are a lot of Eagles fans who are not Booby fans, who do not want him to get extended, who do not think that he is a 3-down back and he is our number 1 back. But honestly, I think you got to give this kid a chance. I think that because of the way that we run the offense through Jalen, he doesn't get as many opportunities to show you why he was such a dynamic player. And I think that if he gets a little bit more opportunities to show you why he's a dynamic player, you'll understand why we shouldn't just give Booby away. Like, if he goes to play for another team that has maybe a more traditional passer, you're gonna see his value. Because his value is in these long runs. His value is in his ability to hit a home run every time he touches the ball.
He's a pro bowler.
He doesn't touch the ball that often. So
that's a good one. That's a great one. That's a great one. That's a great one.
I just underrated, and I think as a where would we be? We don't win this game without that run, and yet a lot of people don't like Booby. So it's a mixed bag.
And he had some really good runs, like 13 yards, 8 yards, 19 yards. Like, he had some good runs when they were playing a run. At one point, they were just playing the run and having multiple defenders in the box. They had guys in the box, and we'd still run the ball. And Miles broke off some good ones. The line up front did pretty well. Just in the passing.
I don't think he had any drops.
No drops.
I think he played a pretty clean, efficient game. And not only that, he was our difference maker and when we needed him in that critical juncture point. He had his first touchdown since 2020. I think people are underestimating Miles Sanders at their own risk. He's really going to show us something this season.
I agree. I think he's on the border of the Pro Bowl, borderline Pro Bowler.
Listen, honestly, if he can get himself to a couple 100-yard games, because he's always right there. Can you notice that? It's always 97 yards, 98 yards, 95 yards. If he can really just eke out that last little bit, the sky's the limit for the kid. He's just great. All right, that has been another great episode of 3 Birds and a Punt. Please make sure you subscribe and download the podcast. We're streaming on Apple, Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at 3 Birds and a Punt. You can follow me personally at According to Afia on Twitter, and you can follow my friend John. Let him know, John.
John Monroe Jr. on Twitter.
John Monroe Jr. on Twitter. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Right.
Want to know.
Want to know.